FreeBSD 13 has been fantastic for me on the Raspberry Pi 400, but now it's time to move on to the next one, FreeBSD 14. There's been a lot of improvements and additions and bug fixes, etc., as you would expect in the new release of FreeBSD 14. Way too many for me to list here. But for now, what I'm going to just pick out some highlights which stood out to me. This is not exhaustive, of course. It's just a few of the variable ones that's been done. Root user shell defaults to sh, not tcsh. Jails now have the .include directives for the config files. The one-time password, OPIE, is removed from base, but it's still available if you want to install it later. Locale support is updated and brings it in line with Unicode 14.0 and CLDR 41.0. It introduces base64 and Beehive support for GPU and TP pass-through. That's a very much requested addition. The home directory defaults to /home, not /user/home. And upgrades of OpenSSH, OpenSSL and OpenZFS, which will be welcomed by many. Like I said, there are many more improvements and additions that have been made, so if you check out the official release notes, you can get more detail there. Right, I'm going to download the latest release. I did this a couple of days before the official announcement, so you might see some release candidate images. But at the bottom of the page, you actually see the releases. And scroll down. And we go down to the bottom there. We need the aarch64 RPI image. There's a few other for the Rock Pro and Pinebook, etc. But the RPI is the one that we want for the Raspberry Pi. So click on that and we'll download it. It's not a massive file, so shouldn't take that long. But my internet being slow, it probably will. So I'll fast forward and skip to the end. We're going to be installing on this SSD, this HyperX Fury. It's quite old, but it's never let me down. And it's on an extender cable, so I can plug it into the back of the Raspberry Pi. You could put it on a SD card or even a USB stick, but an SSD gives me a good speed. Right, I normally burn an image using DD on my FreeBSD machine, but I thought for this time I would go into the Raspberry Pi OS and use their imager. I've never really used the imager before, but it's fairly easy to use. And just put the password there, and it seems to be doing it, which is cool. You could use this way, you could use anywhere that you want. If you're on Windows, you could use Balena Etcher, etc. Right, done. I'm going to plug it in to the Raspberry Pi, and then we'll reboot and see what we can see. FreeBSD on the Raspberry Pi, it installs slightly different from what you might be used to on an AMD 64 machine. In this case, rather than a pre-config and then install arrangement, it goes straight into installing, expands the image and fills the medium in which you're using. By the way, the default login is root and the default password is also root. So once we're in there, we can config things later. But we'll have a look at the release for a moment, and as you can see, it's FreeBSD generic 14.0 release, which is very nice. And we'll have a look at the disk structure. We'll look df. And again, things are laid out slightly different to what you normally would expect in a new install of FreeBSD, which, you know, is kind of weird if you're not used to seeing that. And the resources getting used, as we've just logged in for the first time into the console, is very, very minimal. Which really, we don't expect anything else in FreeBSD. It's very optimally configured. Right, so like I say, you can do some configuration after you've installed, and this time we're going to use bsdconfig. And this is pretty much what you do before a normal install of FreeBSD. It's the closest we're going to get to a GUI configuration tool. So I'm just going to test whether or not networking, and in particular the Wi-Fi driver, is going to work on 14.0. Because we've been waiting a long time for the Raspberry Pi built-in Wi-Fi to work, and hopefully this is going to be scene 2. Oh, I've not seen anything in the release notes, so it probably won't. We'll try it anyway. Nope, no wireless devices found, which is a shame. So if you want Wi-Fi in the Raspberry Pi, really you should put in a third-party dongle. There's plenty available, maybe not AC, but N standard. Right, so we're just going to have a look at... yeah, that picks that one up because the Ethernet always works. Right, so DHCP is disabled. It's picked up the IP address, which is... that's quite handy, isn't it? Netmask is configured, so everything looks alright. Yeah, bring that up now. We'll have a look at hostname. Change that to Pi 400. Yeah, kick in when we next log in. What else can we look at? Gateway, is that set? It should be. Yeah, that's set. And DNS name server. Nope, no, it's not there. We'll add one. We're not going to get very far if we don't add one of these. There we go, that should do it. And exit that. Is there anything else we need to do? Time zone, I'll look at that. I don't know. Europe. And then the country. If I can find it. UK. There we go. It looks reasonable. So, okie dokie. I think that's that. I'm just going to check whether networking actually works because we'll need that. Yeah, that's fine. Right then, FreeBSD update. Let's see if there's any updates available for this new release. I'd be surprised if there were, but you never know. Yeah. No updates needed, of course. I didn't think there would be. Wait a minute. FreeBSD 14 release is approaching its end-of-life date. It's strongly recommended that you upgrade to a newer release within the next 2 months. Yeah, it's probably because the release announcement hasn't been made as the time of this video. Anyway, we're going to issue PKG Bootstrap. That's to get the package doodads going. And we'll use that later, but not at the moment. Because there's a few things that we need just to sort of like tweak the system to get it to a point where, you know, it's usable as a desktop. So we'll have a look. Put sysctl or sysctl dev.cpu.0.frequency, and it tells you that the Raspberry Pi idles at 600 megahertz. So we want that really to sort of like, we're going to kick the Raspberry Pi into a little bit of a higher gear. So we edit the sysctl.conf, and we need to add dev.cpu.0.freak. That's a weird word, isn't it? Equals 1800. That's the default clock speed, I think, for the Raspberry Pi 400. We also need to put kern.schedule.preempt _ fresh equals 224. The default is 80, and that's really set up for servers. This one gives it a little bit more speed. Also, we can add kern.core_dump equals 0 because we don't want them spewing out all over the place. Another we can use is vfs.usermount equals 1. So that lets the user, a normal user, non-root user, to mount drives, etc. Another one is vfs.read_max equals 128. Some of these you may not need, and some of these you might think, oh, what's he putting that for? Another one is kern.ipc.shm_allow. So that's allow some shared memory for things like Chromium, etc. I don't know if I need this on the Raspberry Pi 400, but I'll put this anywhere. And then we go into the boot partition. And again, we need to go into the MS-DOS partition. So we're gonna tweak the display. So at the moment, you notice the text is quite large. We just want to scale that down a little bit so the desktop looks right. And we need to edit the config.txt. If I can see what there it is. So edit config.txt. And this one's really easy. We just go down to where it says HTML_safe equals 1. You can either put 0 or just comment out the HTML entry. And we save that. And like I say, what that does is it scales the image down so your desktop will look right. Everything won't be too big. I'm going to reboot to let the changes stick. And as you can see, everything is a lot smaller. It makes my job harder because I have to zoom in further, but it makes things a bit better when you put a desktop on. So log in, root, and root again. Clear that. Now, I don't know if you can see this. About syscontrol or sysctl dev.cpu.0.freak and frequency. You know what I mean, don't you? And now it gives 1800, which is better. And now we edit the rc.conf file. Go down to the bottom, and we're just going to set some PowerD flags. And these are some of the things that you have to do in FreeBSD for a Raspberry Pi to be more responsive as well. You can change these entries if you want, but these work for me. And then PowerD enable. Key map, which is pretty obviously, we just want the right key map when we go into the console. If you don't, it defaults to the US key map. We're going to enable clock, well, the internet clock, so it pulls in the right time and dates, because there's no onboard battery, of course, on the Raspberry Pi unless you add it. And there's flags so it can jump a large amount if we need to. You're going to enable dbus. I think that's it. We don't need anything else. Save that. I'm going to reboot again. You're thinking, crikey, is rebooting more than Windows? Well, I like to make sure it's going to work. Right, so we should be getting there, he says. Right, we're just going to issue pkg update. And what this will do, it'll pull in the latest package list. By default, it uses quarterly. And I don't know yet if we will change to latest or not, but we'll keep on quarterly for now. Right. That's all done. So we're going to pkg search xfce, and there's quite a few entries. And xfce on the Raspberry Pi is a really good choice. Gives that nice balance of usability and efficiency. So pkg install xorg, xfce, xfce4 goodies, Firefox, and Sylpheed. We'll put yes, and we'll let it do its thing. I'll fast forward again because this will take a while. Are we all done? Nearly? Yeah, there we are. Right, we now need to add a user so we can get out of using this root account all the time, which always makes me feel uncomfortable. And like the bsdconfig, we can now put one of the stages that you normally use or normally go through when you're installing FreeBSD on a non-Raspberry Pi, and that's add user. So just put username, full name, leave this for default, login group, leave it default, invite other groups, so I'm going to put wheel, video, and operator, and press enter. I'll leave this to default, leave it as sh, directory default, password, right, let's put a quick password in here, and again. Okay, lock the account out, no, and is that okay? Yes, and we don't want to add nobody else. No! But before we log out and then log back in the new account, I'm just going to change the root password. And again. There you go. Hopefully I've spelt it right. And we'll exit and log back in. Very good. See, now that we've done that, I can set up the xinitrc so we can start X and get the desktop going. So we just create a new file. I mean, it's not going to be there, but create a new file, .xinitrc. So the basic minimum we can put in is xfce-session. Oh, no, wait a minute. It has to be xfce4. That's right. XFCE4 -session. And we type in start X. And hopefully, yeah, look at that. Working. So let's have a look. Oh, that mouse feels a bit unresponsive. What's going on here? I've set all the speed things up. No, it's not moving. Oh. Plug-in power management plugin has unexpectedly left the panel. Do you want to restart it? No. All right, okay. The mouse is moving all right now. I don't know what that was about. It's one of those things, I guess. It didn't like the plugin. So the menu is, as you'd expect for XFCE. It does. We've got the basic things. The only two additions being Selfie and Firefox. And we'll have a look at Firefox, actually. One of the main problems I used to find with Firefox was you always crash. Always crash. Could never use it. I had to use another thing. And it looks like it might be doing the same because I've clicked on it and it's not coming up. And that was always a big issue, really, with FreeBSD on Firefox. I always missed, on the Raspberry Pi, I always missed using Firefox because there is no Chrome. The desktop feels fine. That's fine. Well, let's start Firefox up from the command line. Well, it's launched this time. Choose what I share. Oh. Or maybe not. No. Oh, your tab has just crashed. Yeah, it's doing the same thing again. And again. And it's going to keep on doing that. Can we get to a website on this? YouTube? No? A lot of error messages coming up. Okay. New tab's crashed. Yep. Restore alt. No, nothing works. It's the same problem I've had loads of times. Hello. Now things might look a bit different. That's because I'm speaking to you from the future, as it were. I worked out how to get things working, especially Firefox on FreeBSD. I changed the package repo from quarterly to latest, uninstalled Firefox, and installed Firefox ESR. So there's Firefox. It doesn't actually say ESR, but it is Firefox ESR. Version 115, I think. Set as default. And then what we need to do, it's going to test a new tab. Well, I think it seems to be working, which is encouraging. So that's good. Maybe it was the ESR that I needed to use. I'm going to type in. Oh, that's weird. You type in there and it goes at the top. Speed test. We'll do a speed test. And Google, that's accept. That's discouraging. Okay, we'll try another thing. We'll have a look. FreeBSD site. No, it lets you get a little bit further than the other one did. At least you can open a new tab. Okay, I'm going to try a tip that I read a long time ago. I never really tried it. And it's disabling WebGL. I want to see if it works on this. So, WebGL. And we have to disable it. So, no, there it is. We double click to change that from false to true. So WebGL is disabled. And we'll see if that makes a difference. So already a little bit of difference now that we're using Firefox ESR. But we'll see if it makes a difference now that we've disabled WebGL. It just won't start up from that menu. It did it before. Oh, that's weird. Okay, we'll start it up the old-fashioned way again. Firefox ESR. Oh, You must just use Firefox then, okay. I'm making all sorts of blunders on this one, no apologies. We'll just change it to Firefox. Yep, and it works. So let's test it. We'll open up a new tab, and that's fine, it hasn't crashed. Then we'll look for... Hasn't crashed. And then we'll see if we can get to a new site like FreeBSD without crashing again. Click on that. Oh, okay. Well, it works now. Well, that's encouraging. That's good. So it looks like Firefox ESR and then disabling WebGL is the key to getting it working on FreeBSD on the Raspberry Pi. So if anyone's having a problem with that, try this. Oh, I'm quite chuffed now because that was one of the main things that really irritated me about using it on the Raspberry Pi. I could use other browsers, of course, like Midori and that lot, but I wanted to use Firefox so I could align it with the main system. Very nice. Kind of good. Thanks to the power of filmmaking and video editing, we'll go back to the desktop of old. Right. Because FreeBSD is bare bones, there's not much of anything really anywhere until you install it. So we're going to put in LibreOffice to see how that works. And see how fast that comes up when we start it. So pkg search LibreOffice, and I'm going to install the. Let's have a look now. The English language version, which should pull in the main one. So we'll have a look at. Is it UK, England? No, England GB. So if I copy and paste that and put that in there, it should pull up the other parts that we need. Okie dokie. And again, speed is not too bad for my internet, 3.5 megabits per second. Other people probably get 10 or 20 times that, but we'll leave that going, and then we'll have a look at the version of XFCE. We're at 4.18. And we're on FreeBSD, of course, 14.0. And we're not using any hardware acceleration, which is something which I wish that would get implemented. I don't know how you would go about that, of course, but that would be nice. Would make things a little bit faster. Things are quite fast as it is using software, but I wish we got hardware. Right, so wallpapers. Well, there's not a massive collection. It's just the standard stock ones that come with XFCE. You don't expect anything else. You know, FreeBSD, the vanilla FreeBSD isn't GhostBSD or NomadBSD or Hello System. It's not a separate complete thing. It's just a bare bones, and you add it to your own system. Set it up yourself. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that wallpaper like that. So hopefully, we're all done now. We've downloaded and installed it. There's a few pointers to what you should do to get things running smoothly. So I'm just gonna edit the FS tab and copy over what it recommends we do. So copy that and paste it in. There we go. I'm not 100% sure what these do, but it's always recommended we do. We put it in. I think it's the operation of Java and stuff like that. Do you want to read the terminal manual? No, I must have pressed a key. But that's very helpful of you, thank you, but no thanks. So I saved it, and hopefully mount -a to mount all. Yay, it's worked. I'll close that and that. Then we'll start up LibreOffice. Let's see how fast that this goes. Not too bad. Nearly there. Ooh, now that is a lot quicker than it starts on my main machine. Not bad at all. Quite impressed by that. Got to close down all these things in LibreOffice when you first start up. It's really annoying. And we'll zoom in and type hello. Make that bigger. Yeah, very nice. Everything's fairly smooth so far. Got to give it that. And thanks to the little tweaks that we did earlier, things are moving quite fast. It hasn't detected the printer like GhostBSD did. But then again, CUPS isn't really set up. So once we do that, a printer should be detected on the network. I haven't tested any hardware, but that's on another video, I think. I think I've gone long enough. We don't want too many long videos. You get bored. So, what's the verdict? Well, it's fast. It really is fast. I mean, considering we're not using hardware acceleration, things are really zippy. It's one of the credits of FreeBSD. It's very efficient in its resource use, so it's not going to get weighed down by over excessive things clogging the system up. It's easy to install. Well, I mean, easy to install, I suppose. It's easy to get going initially. It's like FreeBSD. You put it in, you get a lot of configuration options, and then it installs. And that's fine. That's a good way of doing it. Get things out of the way, get it done with. The FreeBSD on ARM, slightly different. You install it, well, it expands to fill the thing that you've put the initial image on. And then that's it. Then you can configure it later. You can either configure it manually by editing the text file itself, or you can use bsdconfig. So it's kind of reversed the situation. It depends on what you like. It's got tier 1 support, which is a relatively recent thing for FreeBSD, which means that it's gets fast development, updates, etc. It's very nice. Kind of like swap position with the 32-bit image, which I think has gone down to tier 2 now. But that's fine. Things move on. Although a lot of people still use 32-bit, but it means that you're still going to get some updates. It's just not going to be in the ahead of the queue. It's stable, and that goes without saying. I mean, FreeBSD is stable anywhere. There's very few instances where you're going to get the base system running along nicely. That's going to crash. It just doesn't do it. I mean, you could set up a server on FreeBSD and it'll run for years without any problems. You're probably going to expect some hardware problems than you are going to make software. In terms of the FreeBSD on Raspberry Pi, again, stable. And this goes also for the desktop experience, because when I put all my main machines into storage and I just really had the Raspberry Pi, it was infallible. It was actually really, really good. It makes a good desktop with some limitations, and that is very true. You have to configure a lot of things yourself, and if you don't mind doing that, then you won't find it to be a limitation. There's nothing for the desktop will work straight out of the box. You're not gonna install it and then boom, everything works. It's not like GhostBSD, which caters for that market, or Nomad BSD. No, you have to build it up yourself, and that's a good way to learn things. Otherwise, it's if you're okay with that, if you're okay with rolling your sleeves up and getting a bit old, that you'll enjoy it. Some of the limitations which are now being resolved. Well, they kind of resolved. One of them was Firefox. Firefox a bit flaky. A bit flaky is to put it mildly. The latest Firefox is a flaky. If you want a stable one that doesn't crash every tab, then you're going to need the Firefox ESR. And that still gets updated. So if you don't mind not having the latest and greatest, then Firefox ESR will do it. Will work fine for you. There is no Chrome or Chromium. If that's a thing for you, well, I don't know why there isn't. You'd have thought that perhaps there would be, but there's no Chrome there. Some of the negatives, Wi-Fi is still not being implemented. Wi-Fi, built-in Wi-Fi for the Raspberry Pis, and that it can be an issue, and it might not be an issue. It can be an issue if you really don't feel like you need to. You might say, "Oh, my Raspberry Pi OS works fine. Why doesn't it work in FreeBSD on the Wi-Fi?" This is one of those things, I guess. And you could put in a third-party dongle or a little USB stick thing, and they do work. But as long as it's, and this pains me, as long as it's like N. AC is a bit flaky. It does work in some circumstances, but not 100% yet. And that's one of the main things that I always get saying to people. They say I would use FreeBSD if the Wi-Fi worked, and it's a contentious issue. Work is being carried out on it. I shouldn't imagine. I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't imagine it would be an easy task to do it, but it will come along, and work is being done, and progress is being made. But at the moment, the actual inbuilt Wi-Fi for the Raspberry Pi is not catered for. And there's no graphic hardware acceleration, and it's software only. Well, again, I don't know the ins and outs. Maybe it's a lot harder to do than other driving aspects. I don't know. That might impact some things. I know it does impact me slightly. If I do try to edit a video in FreeBSD on the Raspberry Pi, it can be done using Kden Live. It can be done, but it's not an overly enjoyable experience. I mean, I have made a video on that, and it works. So it's slightly more tolerable if you did the video on a Raspberry Pi OS machine. But then, I mean, I don't know. So what would I give it? Well, I'm going to give it... You're going to say, oh, he's right, biased. Well, I'm slightly biased with FreeBSD. I would give it 4 out of 5. The missing one nugget is really down to the missing drivers. Oh, and perhaps fix the situation with Firefox as well. But apart from that, excellent. And I also thought that I would do a review of 14.0 on the Raspberry Pi, because everyone and their uncle will probably be doing a video about FreeBSD on an AMD 64 machines, which I will do, but I want it to be different and get this one out. Anyway, because that's where I am. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.